Alright folks, Alan Rubel coming back at you for Ozark Mountain Outdoor Adventures. We've been getting a lot of questions here lately about grunt calls, rattling, and doe bleats. So, as doe season approaches, wanted to come at you here real quick with my favorite, the Primo's Doe Bleat can. Check it out.
Alright folks, going back at it here again this evening. So I've been getting some questions about doe bleats, and I figured I'd give you a little bit of a rundown while we're out in the field. Hopefully I can get you a little bit of a more in-depth how-to, but we're going to put it to the test this evening. So I figured I'd come at you here real quick. It's a nice little doe spot for us, so I'm going to use the Primo can and also follow up with hitting the grunt call just a little bit. So anyway, we got some time. I'm expecting some does to come through here naturally this evening, but I'm gonna hit the can just a couple real quick times. So let's check it out. I'll do it about 3 times. I'm going to do a little bit of a chasing call with grunt. That's it. I'm going to get settled in real quick. Hopefully we'll have a deer come. Curiosity, check that. It'd be nice if a big buck comes through, so I'm going to get settled in. Stay tuned.
Alright folks, like I said, coming back at you here again real quick. We just finished up rifle season here in Southwest Missouri. Had a wonderful time. It's always good to be able to reconnect with family and be able to get out into God's creation and really be able to go down memory lane, so to speak. But today's topic here we're addressing is the Doe Bleat. We've had some questions on YouTube and Facebook, and also as doe season's approaching, definitely want to pull out all the tools in the toolbox because after rifle season things do get a little bit hairy and you need to be bringing your A game, so to speak. So the grunt call and the Doe Bleat, I think, work better when you're using them in conjunction with one another and kind of painting the entire picture. But getting those Doe Bleats in also kind of as the peak of the rut is happening will also be able to increase your chances. It really depends on what you're wanting to do with the call itself. So it depends on where you're at in the country, what time of year it is. Here we're approaching, it's Thanksgiving Day here today, so we're at the latter end of November. So using these calls, I would recommend probably more into the later October time frame here in Southwest Missouri, but they will work any time of the year. You just the intensity needs to be drawn back on your grunt calls as well as your Doe Bleats. So let's get right into it. Alright, so there are a lot of different Doe Bleats on the market today. The most common today and what you'll find are similar calls like the extinguisher grunt call that has a sliding mechanism that you can go to mature buck, or you can go to fawn or Doe Bleat. I'll just hit this real quick. That's set on fawn, and it's just a lighter type of grunt call. And I think that these type of calls, you can get a little bit more volume out of them, and still has the not the deeper tone that you'd find in, say, a larger grunt call. So that is where these, like the extinguisher grunt call, shine is that you do have a little bit more adjustability and can kind of get on the volume a little bit if you want to reach out into those hills and hollers and draw in something from a distance. I would recommend going with like the extinguisher grunt call, but my favorite and what I think sounds the most realistic is the Primos can. Now they come in a few different sizes. This one here is called the big can, the great big can, and this is my favorite one. There's also the smaller can that is it's called the Doe Bleat. And so just going to give you a little bit of a rundown here on these real quick. I'm going to start with the Doe Bleat. And, you know, Primos is speak the language. That's exactly what they're doing, is speaking the language. So I think these cans are a little bit quieter, but I think that they sound a little bit more realistic. It's been a while. This one's a little bit older, but we're going to give it a shot. It's super easy. There's a hole on the bottom. You just put your finger over that hole and then turn the can over. That's all you got to do. I think it sounds really realistic. Now, if you get an older can, so basically the way that these are designed is there's a baffle in there that almost is like a accordion that uses the weight of the baffle to suck air through the vent system to make that call. So what you want to do is, this is upside down. You want to make sure that the bevel is down at the bottom. Make sure you have a complete seal on your finger, and then just tip the can over. Now that one went pretty quick, so I usually just hit that like 3 times, and maybe even you know, hit a lighter juvenile buck with the extinguisher grunt call, and then, you know, get settled back in, get ready for the encounter. So when you hit that grunt call, you might do a blup blup blup, you know, kind of like a buck chasing a doe, and kind of start painting the picture, start speaking the language, and then hopefully get set up for a buck to come in, or a doe, whatever you're looking to shoot. I've called in does with the Doe Bleat, but oftentimes it helps trigger those bucks to come in to investigate more than just a buck, you know, making a chase sound. So here's the great big can, and this is the one that I kind of like a little bit better. It's a little bit more difficult to use. Again, you just want to turn it over and get that down, and then now it's almost like it's a little big and takes a second. So what you can also do is, once you have it flipped up, I use gravity to push it up, so to kind of help that a little bit. Anyway, I think that's a great sound. I've had a lot of success on both of these types of Primos cans. So, I mean, don't be afraid to experiment with them. Again, there's a lot of different sliding grunt calls on the market. You know, it doesn't hurt to have a few extra calls in your bag. I mean, don't just take one call and say, this is my do-all call. I'll never need another grunt call again, because that's not the case. I usually end up buying one every, you know, a few years if there's something neat that comes on, or if, you know, if I haven't had any luck, or there is a shelf life in them. I mean, if you are taking out a grunt call and blowing it into extremely cold weathers, I mean, they can freeze too. So you know, it just once they do that, you know, they might not ever work again. So I've had a few grunt calls go dead on me, but the Doe Bleat is a really nice way to just add one more element, one more scene, one more character in the picture that you're painting. You've already went in, you've already scouted, you've already found the buck sign, and you're wanting to paint just a little bit more picture for them with the Doe Bleat. And again, your region of the country. Also, the buck to doe ratio in your area will come into effect. If you have a high number of does, you know, this might not work as effective to pull in a buck if there's just does all around him anyway. So the buck to doe ratio will always affect how hard a buck has to work to get connected on some does. But anyway, we're going to be going hard at them here again. Like I said, we got doe season rolling around. We got second portion of youth season is this weekend. We have alternative season coming up. Going to be doing some black powder. Going to be looking at the 300 blackout pistol. Also, I'm super stoked. I'd love to take a crossbow out before the end of the year. So there's a lot of things happening. We've still got plenty of time. I would love to get an archery buck before January 15th. The season ends here in Southwest Missouri. So anyway, thanks again so much for tuning in. If you do have any additional questions, don't hesitate just to get down into the comments. And of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button to the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time.